Let's go around the table here and see what everyone thinks about tonight's performance since they're talking about it on CNN. What do you think there, Reg the Bandit? Do you think a needle mover?
It's not good. Like, yeah, I think he set a kind of high bar for himself at the DNC. He seemed a little more coherent than usual, and I think that's why people like Trump are saying, "Yeah, I'll do a debate with a drug test," right? Because it was so clearly different, and we know that people who have mental problems, dementia, whatever, they often have good and bad days, right?
Right.
And so it seemed like I thought that, maybe they just dosed him up with something. He took, a little Adderall, maybe just caffeine, who knows what. But he was doing better there than I've seen him do. And so that made me think maybe he could hold his own in a debate if the conditions are right. Tonight, not so promising. Scripted questions from CNN choosing some Democrats and independents, and he still really struggled. It felt like he was just sort of treading water, especially toward the end. I mean, I feel like I saw a deterioration as the night went on.
Yeah.
The question about farmers, the answer did not make sense to me. Yeah. And so I think if he cannot even give really
shorter. How long was Trump? Was it
an hour and a half.
It was an hour and a half.
Yeah, it was 15
and this was
minutes
what,
shorter.
An hour?
15? Was it an hour and a half, or did it go to 45 on the clock?
I don't remember. That's a good question.
I think it went at least 15, probably 20-something minutes longer.
Yeah, and I mean, half the questions are, Biden, how do we know how bad Trump is? So it's like if you can't,
and if they weren't, he'd turn it to that.
Yeah. So I think it was pretty bad just because, it wasn't disastrous, but I just feel like it really does not bode well for him going against someone like Trump.
To me is telling? So they want to say, Donald Trump has mispronounced words. And yeah, listen, of course, we'll give you that. He has done that, and everyone has done that. And he maybe does it more than, I don't know that he does it more than Barack Obama. Barack Obama would do that quite a bit. And then Barack Obama, when he couldn't think of, would just make words up. Like, we've been wee-weed up, or as opposed to, you remember that? My mom said, don't get all wee-weed up. And then everyone tried to look at like Urban Dictionary, cultural lexicons, and it was not a thing that had ever been
this
used.
isn't real. No.
And then Joe Biden, of course, talked about shaking hands with people at Amy's Diner that have been closed for 29 years. So Joe Biden actually makes up words that aren't really words in describing events with people he never met in places that don't exist. Yeah. And I think that's a little bit different. But I
Trump
also
said Thailand. So
Trump said Thailand, which, by the way, he might have been saying as a dig. Trump,
fair point.
Thai lady boyland, Hunter, you know what I'm talking about. But Joe Biden, at least when Donald Trump the other day, I remember him having a misspeak. And I've had this. Listen, everyone has this on air. You can listen to anybody, especially someone who speaks quickly. You see it with Ben Shapiro. You can see it with any host. You can see it, of course, with Chris Cuomo. You can see it with Tucker Carlson, where then you realize, I've either talked myself into a corner, or I've misused a word, and you correct it. And I remember there were a couple of instances where Donald Trump said maybe a little word whisker, and then fixed it and continued. Joe Biden would mispronounce words, and not mispronounce them like Thailand, but he would say, he said something, I can't remember what it was, where it was like, the equivalent to, like, maybe he meant to say monkey, for example, but he said mucky, something like that.
Malapropism.
Yeah. And he would continue because he didn't even realize it.
Yeah, instead of saying China, he said kinda.
Yeah, that's right. Kinda. That's right. Kinda. That's right. So he'd say kinda, and he didn't even have.
He didn't register it. He just continued
to realize, I misspoke. Donald Trump had some moments where, if we were to use that example, where he said, and of course with with China. Joe Biden goes, and with China, we're going to have to sign a different deal with China.
All men and women created by the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the thing? The land bridge from China.
And that's what makes you lose a debate. You don't see Trump just lose his train of thought and get owned by reporters, even though he goes head to head with them every day. Right? You see Biden lose his train of thought with friendlies all the time.
Well, and you know what I think, though, too? That's an important point, is Donald Trump does have, and I will say this as something that I'm not proud of, but when I get in rage mode, where I am upset, it sharpens me for sure. I'm someone who kind of does better in the pocket. I'm someone who, they call like a clutch player, I guess, a game day player. There are people who are like that. Donald Trump has a rage that's laser guided at the media. Unlike any president that we've ever seen. Unlike
and
any
like you said, that's
candidate.
the man.
Yeah.
He knows who the man is.
Right. And he knows who the man is. Joe Biden really doesn't have a rage in him because he doesn't have anything that he stands for.
Right.
And so he doesn't have anything to bring him back to center line. At least Donald Trump can say, all right, hold on a second, maybe I've gone down a rabbit trail, but I want to get back to the center line, which is calling the media out. I want to get back to the center line, which is saying, listen, the political establishment is not looking out for the best interest of the American people. Whether you agree with them or not, you either agree with him or you don't agree with him because you know that's where he lines up. You know that's his raison d'etre. You know that's his mantra, for crying out loud. Make America great again. Biden's, what is it? Rebuild, back better?
Back better.
Build Back Better.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
Doesn't even roll.
Joe
Come on.
Biden doesn't have something that absolutely gets the hair on the back of his neck to stand up. He doesn't have anything that's worth fighting for. This is a guy who has been living comfortably at the government teat, suckling at it, like one of those farm animals at the farm banks, his entire life. And he's never really, not never, I should say, not since being whatever it is, 27 years old, and he's 92 now. At least in half a century, he's never really had to scrape and claw and fight for it. And sure, Donald Trump might be a billionaire, but he's had to fight for that every step of the way, if not to get it because he was raised in wealth and he's acknowledged it and he's grateful for it, since running for president and becoming president, because it is under attack every moment of every day. And we see tonight with the softballs, that just doesn't happen with Joe Biden. He is weaker. It is victory. You know, that victory has defeated you, but it's not being challenged has defeated Biden. You are talking about putting two people into a cage, one of whom has had to fight, let's say 4 or 5 times a year would be really, really heavy duty for a boxer, for a fighter, and Joe Biden, who hasn't done it in several decades. That's why they want to keep them apart. Joe Biden has not had to fight, and he doesn't know how to bring the fight back to where he's strongest. So he's lost. He's lost in tall wheat.
And it's been 4 years, but people forget that Trump went up against a very packed Republican field. It was 12 politicians at the top of their game, including Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and these other and other people who are very accomplished debaters.
That's the guy whose dad killed JFK.
I know, monster. But yeah, so he was a guy who, again, was the only person everybody talked about after these debates.
8 years of Obama, where the media did nothing but just go, "Oh, he's so great,
Right.
Democrat
So
values are great."
He beat a lot of people to even be nominated for the presidency. I think debate is where he shines, and that's a strong reason why they don't want it to happen.
I would say that Hillary's worst performance was still better than this.
Oh yeah.
So that's
Hillary was not nonsensical. Hillary had, her convulsions in the diazepam pen. They were stabbing her like the guy by
backstage.
the fireplace in 310 to Yuma. They're gonna hang me in the morning. That's what they were doing. But that being said, you never saw Hillary and felt bad for her like a grandfather at the Thanksgiving table who shit himself before dessert came. You're like, we got to change him again. We already did it when the stuffing came out. Why did someone give him the broccoli casserole? You're supposed to keep that away from Grandpa Joe.
No dairy.
Yeah, no dairy.
Not good.
I never felt bad for Hillary in the same way. Like, I never felt with Hillary, and I know what I'm saying. This is a feeling. Okay. Oh gosh, you guys tell me that was my shirt unbuttoned this whole time?
You did that on purpose.
I didn't feel for Hillary the way I feel for Joe Biden, where I was saying, you know what, Hillary's family, Chelsea needs to come in there and throw in the towel and call it.
Right.
Joe Biden, maybe his son's too busy banging widows doing crack, but someone needs to step in. This is not fair. It's not right, and he's not capable.